I tried 30 strange rat tricks in this garden, and only 6 of them actually did anything. One of those 6 worked better than every single other one, and it isn't a smell, and it isn't a gadget, and I'll get to it in a second. Here's what's really at stake. You can spend days refreshing a repellent that's already faded while rats keep digging into your root zones anyway. And a fume, an open trap, or the wrong scent material left near the vegetables can hurt a pet or contaminate the soil you're growing in. Most people think the answer is a stronger smell. It isn't. It's blocking the one root that matters, taking away the invitation, and only using the temporary stuff where it can genuinely buy you time. I've been growing food on this ground for 55 years, since I was 15, and I judge a fix by what it keeps working on, not by how clever it sounds. So we'll start with the one defense that outlasted all of it. 30 tricks tested, and the one that held up every time wasn't a smell. It was wire. Here's the mistake. People spray the bed edge, feel better for a week, and never check if the bottom is still open soil. A rat doesn't need much, just an opening. Rain washes the smell away, and the gap just sits there waiting. So build the bed like you don't trust it. Galvanized hardware cloth, 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, across the whole base before soil goes in. Extend it past the bed's edge, bend it up inside the frame, fasten with landscape staples or screws and washers, overlap every seam. No gap bigger than about 1/2 inch, because that's the width a determined rat will use. Gloves on before you cut. Cut mesh throws off edges sharp enough to open a hand, and they'll snag a dog or a bird just as easily. Fold or file every cut end flat before that bed goes back into use. Renting or short on budget? Line the one bed that's actually getting hit with panels you can lift back out. A rat hasn't read the internet. It cares whether there's a hole. That handles one bed. It does nothing about a rat already living in your garden in a burrow it dug weeks ago. Now, for that rat and the tunnel it's already living in, mesh does nothing. That's where dry ice comes in, and I'll say straight off, this one works. Dry ice is frozen carbon dioxide. Drop it down an active burrow and seal the entrance, and as it warms it turns straight to gas, and that gas sinks and pushes the oxygen out of the tunnel. Underground, with no other way out, the rat suffocates. No poison left in the ground. Nothing for a hawk or a dog to eat later and get sick from. Cities have used this exact method to knock down rat numbers block by block. Here's where it stops being a weekend project. You have to know the burrow's actually active, and you have to find every exit and plug it, because one open tunnel and the rat just walks out somewhere else, and you've achieved nothing. And in a lot of places, this product is registered for licensed pest control operators only, not homeowners. Check that before anything else. If you do handle dry ice, insulated gloves, always. Bare skin on that stuff burns like frostbite. And never near a shed, never near a building, pets well clear, because that gas doesn't know the difference between a rat tunnel and an enclosed space with you in it. It works. It's just not always yours to use. What you can do yourself is make one spot in that garden unpleasant enough that the rat chooses somewhere else. Peppermint oil and eucalyptus oil are the two worth mentioning, and here's why. A rat's whole world runs on its nose. Concentrated oil dumped on a surface overwhelms that nose, wrecks the scent trail it was following, and the rat backs off. That's the mechanism. But you're outdoors, not in a lab, and sun and wind and rain strip that smell away in days. So the same treatment that worked Monday is doing nothing by Thursday. Here's where people get it wrong. They spray the whole garden once and think the job's done. It isn't. And they treat the oil as harmless because it smells nice, forgetting a cat can't process some of these compounds the way a dog or a person can. So, soak your cotton ball, Put it in a small container with holes poked in it, not loose in a saucer, and set it at the actual burrow mouth or feeder or runway. Keep it away from where a pet can lick or chew it. Refresh it every day or two if you want it to keep working. If strong smells give you a headache, skip this whole section. It changes nothing about the mesh or the traps. Call it a stall tactic, not a cure. And there's a stronger version of this same idea, one that burns instead of just smells wrong, and it's a lot less forgiving. Chili powder or a proper capsicum spray works on the same idea as peppermint, but with a sting attached. A rat noses into treated ground and gets a burning irritation, and in a testing setup that's enough to make it avoid the spot. Outdoors is different. Rain washes it off, sun breaks it down, and a rat that can't cross your treated path just walks round it. Gloves and eye protection every time you mix it. Capsaicin that drifts can burn your eyes and skin, irritate your airways, set you coughing, blur your vision. So don't broadcast it over the plot. One bed edge, one runway, nowhere near what you're planning to eat. Spray your beans strong enough to stop a rat, and you may have stopped the beans too. Making every bed hot and unpleasant is rather like locking your own kitchen because you saw a rat near the pantry. Worried about birds or pollinators? Same rule. One route, rest of the garden left alone. Check it after rain. Crossings being used again, or a leaf's gone crisp where it shouldn't. That's your answer. Back to the mesh. The next lot don't burn at all. They rely on something rats fear more than a hotfoot, and they're messier to live with. Used cat litter, coyote urine. Some of you are already pulling that face, and you're right to. Here's the logic. A rat picks up cat scent or predator urine and reads it as a warning. A predator's been through, better go the long way round. Real response, short term. But urine oxidizes in open air fast, rain and irrigation wash it out, and a rat that keeps checking the spot and never meets the cat learns the warning was empty. Feed and shelter still sitting there speeds that lesson up. Best case, a narrow strip avoided for a few days. In a yard with plenty else on offer, they'll walk round it, and hard rain puts that scent in your soil. Maybe your neighbor's runoff too. Now the part I won't talk myself round on. Used litter and predator urine carry parasites off the animal that made them, and near food crops that soil contact, splash, produce. My rule's simple. Never near anything I intend to eat. Try a commercial version if you must. Fence line only, follow the label. A vegetable bed should smell like soil and compost, not an argument with the neighborhood cats. None of this touches why the rats came in the first place. Walk your own patch. Exposed seed, a bin lid that doesn't quite shut, standing water, a wood pile, the gap where the shed wall meets soil. That list tells you what to block before you bother with any spray, because a rat is an opportunist and takes whatever's on offer. One or two sightings occasionally isn't a burrow problem. Catch it early. A covered trap, cleanup, a small gap sealed. But rising sightings, repeat damage, or an actual burrow means mesh, and maybe a professional. Scent alone won't hold that. An open snap trap can just as easily catch a songbird or somebody's cat, so box it, set it along a wall or a known runway, never open ground. Bait with peanut butter or grain. Skip the homemade baking soda mixes. No real proof they're safe for a dog that finds the bait. And a trap alone just removes one rat and leaves the invitation standing. Seal the feed, secure the bin, fix the leak alongside the trapping, or the next rat moves straight in. That's why the mesh came first. It changes the system. A trap only settles one part of it, which is exactly the problem with the easy tricks. The owl, the coffee, the hair, the ammonia rag. The plastic owl is the one I get asked about most. Stake it in the bed, and the rats give it a wide berth for a day, maybe two. Then nothing. No power behind it, no complex sound pattern, just a shape that stopped being new. Same story with the ultrasonic box by the compost. Rats habituate fast, and garden units aren't strong enough to keep bothering them past that first week. Coffee grounds do nothing reliable against rats. Might help your soil, won't move a rat. And human hair asks an animal that already lives in our sheds and our compost to suddenly fear our smell. It generally doesn't. Ammonia, I want you to skip outright. The fumes irritate the airways, in a person, a pet, any wildlife passing through, and enough of it means coughing and burns to the mucous membranes. Keep spraying, and you'll scorch the leaves too, and send the rest into the soil and the runoff. The rats adjust before your plants recover. There's no spray once and forget. What exists is food put away, gaps closed with mesh, a trap where a trap belongs. I've done this 55 years and never once needed to win an argument with an owl. Tell me in the comments what you're actually looking at right now. A burrow, a chewed up bed, a runway near the feeder, or just the odd rat crossing the lawn at dusk. And tell me which of these 30 you'd already bought before you watched this. Next time I'll walk through cutting off the food, the water, and the shelter that bring rats in to begin with. Bury the mesh before you plant the seed.